Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host. And I'd like to ask you, are you ready for emergence? What does that mean? What are we emerging into or from? And what is that all about? So we're going to learn more about that from the angels, who we love to talk with, and our good friend Adria Estribou, who is a really good friend of the angels and has been on Energy Stew many times. Adria, welcome back.
So happy to be back. I'm not ready, Peter. I'm not ready for emergence.
Well, we don't know what it means. Maybe we're more ready than we think.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing. It's there's so much confusion and distortion as we're trying to figure it out, or at least I am with the mind, but then we have the heart and we have all these other tools. And when we're moving into something so new, it's hard to even know what it is we're seeing and feeling. And
Yeah,
Well, it's, I say that jokingly, but also in a real way. There's a lot of panic and grasping at trying to understand. I'm just talking about my personal experience. I imagine others are feeling that too, of what's going on, and it's so hard to interpret because we're moving into new uncharted lands, really.
yeah. But there's a sense that I have of a great future, that we're moving into a higher consciousness.
Mm.
And what does that mean? There's all these books on 5D consciousness, and I've done many shows on with authors of those books. And so there's a good idea, and it's already partly here too, that many of us are starting to live in a higher sense of mind that doesn't rely on our mundane thinking, the mundane reality, so much as a deeper spiritual presence and flow that we follow. How does that sound?
That really matches with my direct experience. Yeah, if I try to do things in the way that I got good at over the some decades in this lifetime, making a plan or incrementally working towards things, it's just that way is for me completely broken. Doesn't work at all. But if I can feel the energy of what's alive right now. And it may not be on my plan, most often is not for the day, but if I flow with that, it's so easy. Things are actually much easier now, but it's so hard if I try to do it the way that
But
I
that's
think that I know how to do things.
right. But that was a control way, and we don't
Yeah,
have control. We're not
I know.
driving the ship. We're really passengers. So the idea is to go with the flow of what's guiding
Yes.
us, which is a higher, greater purpose in life, and
Mm.
and trust the process of serendipity and synchronicity.
Mhm. It brings up so many deep questions about the I. What am I here to do? And if I can't control it, well, who is in charge? And what is this energy? Although I may trust it because great things happen when I let it flow, it's
Right?
bringing up a lot of questions about my role as an individual, a sense of self. It's very challenging.
Yeah. Um, it's but but you work with the angels who have been very wise, and they help. Um,
Absolutely. I turn to them often. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk with them. Let's bring them to the fore.
Mm.
Ariel and Raphael. I want to welcome them to the show. And but the first thing I want to ask them, because I was told recently in a channeling actually that I'm a good friend of all the angels that are L's, like Ariel, Raphael, are L angels who apparently are friends of mine. I know they are with when I work with you, and
Mm.
but who are the other elves? Or I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know a lot of names of a lot of the archangels, and and what does that mean to be an El angel? Can we ask uh, our friends?
This is Angel Raphael. And yeah, so the L as a sound symbol and frequency has been interpreted in multiple languages. So we won't say that it has an origin in one human language, but that it has been interpreted down into other languages. So if you just hear this sound L, it is an indication of a certain sound frequency and function, if you like, of particular, let's call them species of angel for a moment. Angels have different roles and functions, and those with L tend to have a wider view. So they're working on collective projects, for example, Earth or humankind, as opposed to individual projects. And so different types of angels work with individuals. Those with L are working with vast oceans, humankind, those kinds of projects.
And yet people call on these angels for individual support.
Mm.
So how does that work?
Yeah. And so we are not excluded, those of us in L communities of angels are not excluded from assisting individuals. However, you may find if you are an individual that calls on us that you are interested in the frequency of all of humankind. So, of course, those individual humans who are more interested in the collective gravitate towards guides and teachers who are interested in the collective. So, collective is made up of humankind individuals. So, both are true.
That's wonderful to know. And I'm happy to also be speaking with who are, I've been told, are good friends of mine, even beyond being on the show with you.
Yes, absolutely. And many of you who listen to Angel Messages now, this is Angel Raphael, have worked with us in the past. So this is not unique to you, although we can confirm the truth of that. So some individuals you will see don't gravitate towards the angelic at all. Doesn't mean that they are not quote unquote good people or that angels are not with them. But some are more resonant with dolphin kind or the teaching of the eagles or galactic beings of different sorts. So it's just a preference, but you have seen in your work that many people carry preferences over multiple lifetimes. So the work with the angelic is a preference.
Right. So it makes sense that a lot of the people who are attracted to you and your work are
Mm.
people who are tuned to these angels in a larger context. So I want to start asking the angels about what we started the show with, about the idea of emergence. And I think of that as emergence in contrast to the word ascension,
Mm.
because I love the idea that we're emerging into a new consciousness rather than ascending to one, because I there's a hierarchy to that might make sense in terms of a fourth dimensional expression of sequence, time, and movement, and and maybe we need that in order to understand things better. But maybe there's an emergence into new realities that aren't necessarily hierarchical. Could you explain that?
Yes, absolutely. This is Raphael. And so when you speak about the different dimensions, let's say there are 12 that are easily accessible by humankind, but of course there are multiple dimensions in addition to the 12 that are most known in the human realm. To our view, one is not the bottom, and then you move up through up till many consider themselves to be in fifth dimension, more or less now. But from human perspective, what you're moving into is easily accessing all 12, which means you become a more well-rounded type of human, where first dimension is part of what you call in for your daily work and life, as is 12. So you're not staying in one band and then moving up and then staying there and then moving up when you are ready. It's more like you are the hub of the circle, the conduit to all 12 all at once. And that's why this time is so profound because you are merging in essentially to your ability to interact with 12 dimensions at once.
Wow. I don't think many people have understood that, and it's great news.
Yeah, it's this is Adria. I think part of why I was joking about not being ready is I feel like I'm being a little bit hit with this just glimpses or the body and the mind trying to interpret data or information perception from all 12 at once, and it's quite a lot when we're used to a linear way of being. Just doesn't fit the linear construct at all. This is Raphael. Yes, and so the calibrations from solar light and so on are there's discomfort in the transformation, but there's a reason. It's not just a punishment, or it's not just oh, this is a hard time to live through, like times of drought. The solar activations are about getting ready to be able to interpret and feel into and live 12 dimensionally, multidimensionally. So it's not about a hierarchy of moving from third to fifth, although that was the platform or the foundation that humankind needed to be in the driver's seat to then activate these 12 aspects of self.
Yeah, that's profound because it's really stages of beingness that are let's call them lighter. We're moving into greater and greater, maybe greater and greater light, greater and
Mm.
greater love, greater experience of universal love and light that these, uh, coming back to the word higher, these other dimensions represent.
Yes, this is Angel Raphael. So the misinterpretation here in terms of the hierarchy is as your frequency increases, so does your compassion and love for humankind, or so does your isness. But again, we would say the frequency of the whole planet had to increase in order to open up the opportunity for each individual to have access to the 12 dimensions. And then you just become a new type of being. So is that better than the old type of being? Not yes, from angelic perspective. So it's not more good or more right or more divine, but it is a different type of being, a more complex organism.
And a different purpose. It's
Purpose becomes more collective and more interactive with other beings, necessarily so, because of the difference in self dimensionally.
and complexity leads to more opportunity for refinement. When things are more basic, it's hard to refine them.
Mm.
Things get more complicated and complex, the patterns of them become better known, and we can move smoothly in the complexities. Does that make sense?
Yes and not yes. This is Raphael. Complexity, absolutely. So you move from, let's say, a single cell amoeba into a human of many cells. And so there's a lot going on all at once, as is in the old human body, biologically, what you're familiar with, moving from one cell to arms and legs and nose hairs and all of this complexity of mind and so on. So similarly, you're moving from perhaps one or more limited linear functioning to all kinds of systems coming online all at once. And so the capability to do more or to do different is there where it was not in the past.
I like that. So we're getting used to complexity because right now we're in the chaos of it.
Yes. Yes, the chaos, this is Angel Ariel, can be there can be a distrust of chaos when we're told as a young human to manage chaos, and that's how you succeed. Now we would say the opposite is the case. The more you can throw yourself into the chaotic nature of the world, the more fluid you are to embrace the opportunities that arise. If you're trying to stay on one plane of existence when now there is 12, a lot of heartbreak ensues because you are continually challenged in that regard. So we would say to let go of trying to hang on to the known universe is how you emerge into the complexity.
Wow, I love this. This is such an opportunity to appreciate
Uh,
who we are, and to honor the journey that we're in the middle of that can be so feel so harsh to people.
yeah.
And it doesn't have to if we can see the greater value of it.
Hmm. Yeah, one of the things, this is Adria, that I've noticed is when I suffer over this transition is when you're talking about the value, new way of valuing things. If I'm trying to use the older value system, which is how much did I get done today? It's all about productivity and in a linear sense. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm really failing right now. And so I struggle when I think of it that way. But when I'm open to the wonder of what is actually going on right now, then it gets very exciting. Still, maybe not so defined in a way that my mind can articulate and definitely not control, but it's a whole different way of viewing what
Yeah.
is success or how do I value what's going on.
And I'm looking at it from the vantage point of my age and having had a life of feeling um, that I'm not completing everything, that I'm not in as control as I would like to be.
Mm.
So much escapes me all the time, and I think our audience can identify with that easily. And yet, it got me through 82 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have to say that as much as we feel the lack, it works.
This is Angel Raphael. Yes, and here is the trick to allow that something which had value or functionality in the past just may not work as you emerge into the new. Doesn't mean you were doing it wrong, quote unquote, wrong in the past. But if it's not working anymore, just to stop and wonder, is there something new that works best right now? Is there something I have untapped in the universe or myself that I'm ready to emerge into? And it is the unknown.
And I've always believed in divine order. I can't say I've always believed in it, but I've
Hmm.
learned to believe in it. And divine order means that there are no mistakes, nothing is out of place, even though it feels that way. We just don't see the greater patterns at work that are moving us forward completely
Hmm.
because our minds can't comprehend that the completeness of our beingness in in this journey of becoming.
Absolutely correct. This is Angel Raphael. So when you have a wish, as each of you do, let's say a divine purpose to share some enlightenment with the world, if your mind is stuck on how that might look, you might miss the fact that you are moving into currents of being now, which are affecting on a higher plane more people than you know. And so here is where you can have that the I wish to serve, I wish to have this higher purpose, and then completely let go of what that might mean and stop misinterpreting the effect of your wish. So that is where the individual and the collective dance here with the divine. And for listeners as well, whether or not you think of yourself as service beings, if you are making changes right now on a human level, you are moving the collective. And so if you can stop organizing your thinking into what did I get done or what success is there in the personal story and widen the view, then like the drops in the ocean, you start to see how vast the whole picture is. When you look wider than the one drop, something vast is going on here for each of you. It's quite profound.
Well, I like the idea of that. It's easier said. I mean, it's because it is vast, because we're in a very complex world, and
Mm,
that's what we're talking about, getting more complex all the time, and it's mind-boggling. But the idea is not to worry about how mind-boggled you are so much as following the path of the soul path that knows what it came here for and is doing
mm,
it. Our souls are, I believe our souls are always in charge because they know what our mundane minds don't know. And they're moving us forward correctly. And we can, argue about it all we want, but our souls have the answers.
yeah, this is Adria. One thing I've noticed is that the mind really loves to put things in categories, and it's an amazing historian. So when we move into something new, the mind kind of freaks out because it doesn't know what category to put it in, and it doesn't match the history. And so the mind can think something's wrong here or feel quite a bit of panic. And but yes, that doesn't mean something's actually wrong. The soul or the divine, is flowing along just well, but the mind doesn't yet know what category to put all of this
So the,
in. It's
so the
really,
joke's on us. And we just don't know it. Um,
yeah,
because we're in quandary and are struggling for control,
yeah.
and we can only get so much control. So we have a lot of opinions, and we all have different opinions from each other that we argued about constantly, and and then where does that go? But probably it's a waste of time to try to process controlling everything through your opinion versus others or whatever, and be
Mm.
more, maybe just more surrendering to a higher conscious attunement to take the next step in life.
Absolutely, yes. This is Raphael. So if we can use an analogy here, not meant to be taken literally. Uh, so the control is more like looking for the train track or the rails, something that's very structural and sound. And the idea of impulse or impetus or wish towards something would be a little bit more like thrusters on if you were an astronaut in space. I want to move towards over there. So you put some effort or some impetus towards it. But then the dance of the cosmos and the energy of the world is so vast that it dances with you. So it's not all on your effort. You're in fact floating towards it, and it is moving towards you, and more wonder and enthusiasm and excitement and surprises can come your way because it's not on a track that's based on your own will and effort, and yet you are dancing with it. You do put your impetus, your power towards moving towards something, whether it's through curiosity or effort, but then not expecting in a structural sense that it's going to lay down a track and then, oh, okay, I can relax. I know where I'm headed. Well, if you're in the wonder of exploration, no, you really do not relax in that sense, but you can marvel. You can feel amazed and dance with the opportunities that arise, but you can't really know them in advance
I'm
because they're,
thinking, I'm thinking more that it's not being on a track so much that we can't be. But let's just say we're in the water and there are all these different currents that can surprise us and all that. And all that counts is that we know how to swim.
Mm. This is Adria or float. I mean, yeah, maybe we don't even
Yeah,
have to
that
know
too,
how to
right?
swim anymore.
I like that. Not just swimming, but just allowing, um,
Yeah.
or think you're swimming, but actually the current is really what's in charge.
Grab onto something and float for a while.
So cool. So we're getting near the end of the show. I love talking with you, and the angels are incredibly helpful. And
Mm.
um, and how can people follow up? And I know you have a lot going on, so how can people catch up with all that you're doing?
Yeah, my website is adriaestribou.love, and right now, weekly doing small groups transmissions with the angels and getting really deep into the 12 dimensions and activations of self, things like that. So either recorded or live, there's a lot of that, and some books out and more in the works.
Oh, good. But this is wonderful because I think what we've talked about, and if for the audience to be excited about what we've talked about, they can actually get more of it through your.
Yes, yes, for those who like to dive in and go through some play shops to really feel the energies, work the energies, and in your own energetic being and play with us. Yeah.
Right. And then you have the questions from your students, and they add to the richness of the sessions, right?
Yeah, because this is a collective, so we learn from each other, and the questions help because they're usually not, it's not just one person who has that one question, right?
Of course. Yeah, we represent everybody. That's what I like about my show is that when I'm talking with you and the angels, I'm really representing what my audience wants to know and
Mhm.
to represent them.
Yes.
So this is so much fun. And I want to thank Ariel and Raphael for their insights and presence. It's so wonderful to be in the presence of angelic elves.
And thank you, Peter, for your insight and where you guide us is always so fun and expansive.
Oh, thank you. So thanks again for being here, and look forward to the next time. And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at Peter at Heart River, HEART river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening. All right.